Hello, internet connoisseurs. It's me again. I come bearing another cautionary tale of misguided love. When you last saw me, I was preparing for my date. I had taken my weekly shower, combed my hair, and donned my tailcoat. I admit I was self-conscious about my 2 missing teeth at first, but my brothers on Discord reminded me that battle scars are quite attractive, and I suppose Ashley Lynn had done me a favor in the end. When I last visited my dentist, they insisted those teeth were too far gone. But not only did I get 3 more years out of them, their recent extraction had cost me nothing. Shows how much experts really know. I'm very pleased to report that this time, the evening was a success. Or at least I think it was. When I first saw Heavenly in that dark alleyway, I was certain this time would be different. Now wary of trench coats, I had been quite relieved to see that she wore a black coattail dress that left just enough to the imagination. I liked my chances, even without my lucky bling. Dinner was lovely. I found it strange that she only ordered a Bloody Mary and declined my offer to share my chicken nuggets. But she was obviously maintaining that incredible figure. I could barely contain my excitement when she asked to come back to my place. After repeatedly assuring her that yes, I lived alone, and that no, my neighbors were unlikely to interrupt our activities, regardless of noise level, we departed for my humble abode. The last thing I remember was inviting her inside. I found it a little strange that she ignored my gesture to enter as I held the door, instead of awaiting my verbal invitation. Next thing I know, I was waking up on my kitchen floor. A tall glass of orange juice sat upon my table amongst my hand-painted My Little Pony figurines. I know what you're thinking. Yes, of course I sanitized my kitchen counter, as clearly our passionate escapade hadn't even made it to the bedroom. I took the glass and stepped into my bathroom, rubbing my sore neck. The mirror revealed 2 perfectly circular hickeys, deep enough to have drawn blood. A freak, and sweet enough to leave me a beverage before leaving? I thought, with a huge smile. Although the evening had clearly been exciting enough to leave my legs wobbling, and my head light, I didn't feel fully satisfied. Fortunately, the finger previously lost to Ashley Lynn had come from my less useful hand, so I was quickly able to remedy the situation. Sadly, that is where my success story ended. Heavenly texted later that same day to inform me that she had to see other people regularly to thrive, and since I prefer my females the way I do my coffee— What? What does that mean? And since I prefer my females the way I do my coffee, I had to move on. I drifted aimlessly for the next week, heartbroken but refusing to lower my worth. Then I found her. Luna. She was perfect. Tall, slim, athletic, legs for miles. At least, that's what I could discern through her very impressive fur suit. Now, I had never dated a furry before. However, I couldn't help but admire her dedication. Her suit must have cost thousands. Every hair meticulously glued in place. Every tooth appeared as though it were genuine bone. Her fursona, as I soon learned, was a mighty wolf by the name of Rona. Fierce, unyielding, and chesty. Now, I'm not typically one for all natural, unshaven bodies, but Luna was an exception. When we first started exchanging photos, she not only salivated over my adequate member, but showed me every inch of her fur suit. And I mean every inch. Sure, the tail would take some time to get used to, And yeah, that time she scooted her luscious rear end along the carpet of her apartment during our intimate FaceTime call certainly seemed odd, but she more than made up for it by being a contortionist. Her tongue reached places only mother's pug could... What the fuck? Her tongue reached places only mother's pug could manage. I nearly lost control imagining what she could do when not merely emulating grooming. 3 days later, I finally saw her without her suit on. A pretty brunette smiled in a photo the moment I awoke, my controller still in hand. The real Luna simply blew me away. I inquired as to why she had finally taken off her fur suit, and she explained she only dons it once per month. Ah, I thought, a way to feel empowered during her womanly times. I consider myself an expert on the female anatomy. Clearly, she uses this persona as a way to contain her irrational rage. Wow. Irrational rage and clouded judgment. After many passionate nights exchanging text messages, I knew 2 things. 1, I was in love, truly this time. And 2, the stigma against the furry community was nothing but the closed-mindedness of smooth-brained beta males. I simply had to meet her, and it didn't matter if she were in character so long as the suit had an opening in the right place. Imagine my euphoria when she invited me to visit her city. While we hadn't been together for long, I knew I had to make this trip. I asked ChatGPT to do the math for me, and it calculated that obtaining my travel fare would require pawning every valuable item I still possessed. Possibly more. I pondered. Maybe the shop would give me a few bucks for my grandfather's urn. I could always store him in a Ziploc bag until I repay the loan. Soon, I had my ticket in hand and my bag packed. I was going to Los Angeles. I didn't know what to expect as I left the airport, as I had never been to a furry convention before. There was nothing left in my budget for a suit of my own, and rather than embarrass myself with a raccoon onesie from Walmart, I opted to evacuate a relic from the depths of my closet. My red-hooded cloak. It seemed appropriate for an encounter with a ravenous wolf goddess. I wandered the convention for hours, with no sign of my beloved. My mind soon fell to the heartbreak of Ashley Lynn. Then, my phone chimed. "Hey," the text message read. "I'm over by the exotic hairy lingerie. Come find me if you have the stomach, big boy." Dear God, I'm in love. I sauntered in that direction, my confidence rising with every step. Soon, we would be bound with the leathery depths of physical depravity.
"Sam?"
I turned at the sound. Eyes alight with a hungry yellow tint. Womanly assets hanging low. Womanly assets hanging low from her immense weight stood Luna. I nearly lost my composure then and there. The sight of the woolly thong in her hand nearly caused my mount. The sight of the woolly thong in her hand nearly caused my Mount Vesuvius to erupt on the convention floor. I took a deep breath and lowered the hood of my cloak. "Milady," I said, tipping my trademark hat, "I must say your online presence does not do your beauty justice." She giggled. The sound lit beacons of love deep in my soul.
"You're not so bad looking yourself,"
she said.
"The meat on your bones is mesmerizing."
Oh, hell yes, I thought. Not everyone can appreciate my unique figure. Their loss, Luna's gain. After taking a moment to wipe the sweat from it with my cloak, I offered her my arm. "Shall we?" That afternoon on the convention floor was magical. Not even in my wildest and most private fantasies did I see myself with such a fine lady. With such a fine lady on my arm. With so many eyes upon us. I barely noticed the passage of time as we made our way through the sea of vendors, eventually sitting on the edge of a beautiful fountain. The moment was nearly perfect. I say nearly because from the moment we met, a strange odor followed us. At first, I worried that my latest shower had been ineffective. But as the scent lingered, I concluded it couldn't have possibly been me. It had been 3 days, and no signs ever manifested before day 4. Moreover, there was something vaguely inhuman about this odor. It reminded me of the time Mother's pug ran through a puddle of mud and urinated upon itself as I carried it away. But with a glance into her ravenous eyes, the smell vanished. Nervously, I reached into my pocket to reassure myself. To my relief, the ring was still there.
Ready to get out of here, stud?
Luna said with a sly smile. Lead the way, my darling, I replied. I'll admit, I had no idea where Luna was leading me as we walked the streets. Naturally, I assumed the destination would be romantic. As the sun set, she led me into an alleyway. Recalling my previous success in a dark alley, I grew more excited with each step. The moment was nearly perfect. Sure, I could have done without the soft buzzing of flies surrounding the nearby dumpster, but in her presence, I hardly noticed. It was time. I took off my hat and got down on one knee. Luna, I said with conviction. This has been the happiest day of my entire life. I reached beneath my love roll and slid my hand into my pocket. But for it to be truly perfect, I'll need your answer. I withdrew the ring. Will you be my beautiful bride? Luna blushed in the rising moonlight.
Oh, Sam,
she said breathlessly.
Of course I will.
Perfection. The moment I dreamt of since I first saw her.
But,
she added,
you will have to accept all of me.
She held her hand before me, ready to wear the ring. Of course, milady, I said with a smile, and I slid the ring onto her outstretched finger. No sooner did I bestow it upon her. A great sizzling sound, not unlike bacon in a pan, pierced the air, followed by a deep roar of pain.
What is this?
Roared a voice unlike I had ever heard.
Silver?
Curses, I thought. I knew I should have splurged for a gold one. Before I could respond, Luna ripped the ring from her finger and threw it on the ground, before racing down the alley out of sight. I was numb. My decision to be frugal may very well have cost me the love of my life. As I reached for the discarded ring, a beam of light illuminated the alley from above, glinting off the silver band. I looked up to see the brilliant glow of the full moon shining down upon me. As I stared into the light, regretting my choice of symbolizing my love, I heard a low growl from around the corner. 2 blazing yellow eyes came into view. For a moment, my heart stopped. Then it fluttered gently as Luna came into view. Well, sort of. Obviously, the moment would mean more to her as Rona, so she changed into her fursuit for this special occasion. I pulled the hood of my red cloak over my head. May as well play along with my fiancé's ultimate fantasy. Darling, I said seductively, you look truly mesmerizing. Rona didn't respond, only continued her low growl. Ah, method acting, I thought excitedly, imagining the role-playing possibilities. You dropped this, I said as I scooped up the ring. Much to my surprise, Rona charged me.
You imbecile,
she roared in a deep voice. Kinky. She's into dominating, clearly. Before I could offer a retort of my own, Rona slashed at me, with the long claw seemingly attached to the gloves of her fursuit. What I did not expect was for the costume material to be made of sharp metal. In a flash, another of my fingers was gone. I yelped in pain, but before I could react further, she had grabbed my wrist and lifted me clear off the ground and pinned me against the brick wall. Now, I love a good muscle mommy as much as the next fellow, but this had gone way too far. Darling, stop, I cried out. Avocado! Avocado, pineapple, yogurt. And that, children, is why you establish a safe word before the festivities begin. Blood seeped from my wrist as Rona squeezed them tight. Things were getting out of hand. By this point, I had gone fully turtle. She pressed her snout to my face, the growl increasing in volume. Her eyes no longer bore the light I had stated my urges with. They contained malice and hunger. My hands grew numb in her iron grasp. That was when I lost my grip on the ring. It fell from my hand, bouncing off the tip of her nose before falling to the ground with a soft clatter. And just like that, I was free. Rona released my wrist and retreated, clutching the snout of her costume as if in pain. For some reason, I could swear I heard that sizzling sound again. By now, my patience had reached its end. This woman did not deserve the love of a nice guy like me. Fine, I spat. Play your stupid games. You do not know what you just lost. In a regrettable moment of frustration, I reared back to throw the ring at what I thought was my one true love. The second I did so, Rona's eyes widened, and she began retreating. The coward. I hurled the ring with every ounce of my warrior strength, striking her clear in the center of her back. She screeched as she continued to flee, tearing out of the alley and around the corner, into the night. For a moment, I stood there, panting, struggling to come to my senses. I had lost my temper with a lady, the ultimate sin. In my despair, I clenched my fist, my remaining fingers curling around the bleeding stump of the missing digit. Time to go. I don't remember how long it took, but I eventually made it back to my hotel. By this time tomorrow, I'll be home to resume my search for a partner. I think I'm done with Facebook dating for now, though. Maybe my mate is on Bumble.